Hey everyone, how's it going? Been a minute since our previous and first on the channel Elder Scrolls Oblivion challenge, so I figured we'd do it again, but harder. And why do I think that trying to clear this game as a bandit will be harder than only using destruction magic? Well, let's talk about what the bandit class entails. Out of combat magic and stealth, we're combat focused and our two favorite attributes are strength and agility. That's not bad because at least we'll have a little bit more in the way of carrying capacity. And our melee damage, bow damage, sneak and security skills will be bumped up a little bit. But then you take a close look at our major skills. All bandits wear light armor, so heavy armor is flat out banned. But because light armor is a major skill, it might be more optimal to use no armor in some situations. And, well, enemies will hit us way harder without armor. Block is a major skill too. Not great in my opinion, though for a melee unit it does make perfect sense. The problem is that we'll have to regulate how much we block so that we don't potentially level up too fast. Mercantile being a major skill means we gotta pick and choose our shopping trips carefully. Security? Well, the game's full of locked doors we can pick, so we'll always be opting for finding the key if we have the option. Sneak? Well, sneak's pretty great, but having it as a major skill is just asking for level up problems, especially as something like a bandit. Blunt would be bad, but bandits can use blades, and many of them do. So we can just use swords and daggers instead, and I don't think acrobatics is a major skill that's going to affect us too much. Now, there are many different types of bandits, and I clipped out a couple here just to show you. This is basically what we will be using. Yeah, it says dagger, but bandits also use other blades like swords, so we're going to be able to use those too. Blunt, though again, we'll be avoiding those just to prevent leveling too fast. Light armor, same reason. But no bandits, sans the bandit hedge wizard can cast spells, so we're not going to be using any spells or stabs at all. Magic gear is okay since bandits will just naturally use whatever they plunder, but no stabs and absolutely no magic. For our race, as you see, we went with Bosmer. Bosmer has lower strength. We only have 45 due to our favorite attribute, and a Bosmer who is a novice at archery? Well, at least we're changing things up a bit. I don't think our bandit protagonist cares all that much about how good or bad at archery he is. But since it is not a major skill, I think that would be a pretty good strategy. But the problem with that is that novice tier archers suffer a constant stamina drain while the arrow is being notched back, but we can somewhat circumvent that through the use of restore fatigue potions we can create from alchemy. We'll definitely want to be picking up as many alchemy materials as possible to minimize our shopping trips, and thankfully the game's loaded with them. So while we run a couple of errands in the Imperial City, and by errands I mean snagging the abundance of flour, wheat, grain, rice, and other alchemy mats, let's talk about where we'll be going first. Now, I think Vilverin is pretty much required for us being a bandit, and I kinda like the idea of our protagonist being from that original group, only to have been abandoned and left for the guards to throw in prison, so I figure our bandit bro will want some revenge. Plus, it's an excellent place to get some loot. So, let's go. While we adventure through this wonderful little place, just a reminder, since it's been quite a while since our Destruction Magic only run, that I'll be aiming to get a different artifact for every challenge. So, some challenges here for Elder Scrolls Oblivion will take a little bit longer to complete, since there are artifacts that require a certain level. Azura in particular required level 2, but then we've got Daedric princes like Malakath who require double digits. I believe it's 10 in Malakath's case. So these runs won't come out with the same frequency as our Fallout runs. Of course there will be repeats as there are a finite amount of artifacts, but I figured to give each Daedric prince's artifact and quest a little bit of focus in our runs, and that would be a cool little way to spice up our challenges a bit. And yeah, this place is definitely way harder as we're effectively fighting our former bros with one hand tied behind our back. The light armor I can do without, but not being able to block to prevent overleveling, that's what the real problem is. In one-on-one situations like this, it really feels like archery is the play here because we can back up as they swing, as it takes them a moment to recover, let loose with our arrow, and because our restore fatigue potion is hotkeyed, our stamina drain, the one mentioned earlier, is somewhat dealt with. Currently, the drain is much greater than our restore fatigue potions can restore our fatigue, but as our alchemy levels up, that's going to be much less of a problem. In one-on-one engagements like this, archery definitely going to be the way to go. Also, interestingly enough, you can block with your bow, so that is cool if we absolutely have to block, but again, we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. I tell you, without our little alchemy ace in the hole, we'd be in some big trouble here, and it seems like our former bros also wised up to the idea of using potions. When I went through Vilverin here, it feels like a lot of the bandits were using potions as we fought them, and don't mistake that as a complaint, not at all, because we can level up our blade skill, and that's going to be great, because the more we level it up, pretty much by the time we level up at the rate we are leveling up, our strength should be able to go up by +5, and because we are a strength-centered class, absolutely that's what we're going to go for. It's kind of funny, too, in my Elder Scrolls Let's Play, which, if you're interested in Let's Play content, I'm currently on episode 13 of that, having a great time. Funny enough, the custom class I made actually has Blunt as a major skill, because I was kind of not sure what to pick. I have been using Blade to level up our strength, as well as hand-to-hand, which we don't use hand-to-hand this run at all. But as far as Blade goes, it's pretty cool because I feel like I've gotten a bit of practice and preparation for this run, but this run is very, very different from what we're doing in the Let's Play. Our character is a quote-unquote hero of Kvatch here in this challenge, basically because the game tells us we have to be. But hey, you know, the definition of hero is entirely subjective, so by the time we're done here, if we can actually beat the challenge, Cyrodiil will know that heroism is simply a matter of perspective. But thanks to our wait-and-see strategy, thank you General Oliver for that one, getting through Vilverin isn't too bad with taking out enemies, waiting for an hour, and advancing. There is a reason why the tortoise beat the hare at the end of the day. As for Jalbert, he's really not all that hard, although I was surprised that our sneak attack dealt such little damage to him. Our next destination is the Kvatch Oblivion Gate. So, as we enter the Oblivion Gate, I made sure to get assistance from Joffrey, so we got this really awesome steel claymore, and just a quick heads up, I went through the main story in greater detail in my Destruction Magic run if you want to check that out. I might do that again at some point, but I don't know, we're playing as a bandit. I feel like it would be a little inappropriate, because the bandit doesn't care about the story. The bandit cares about just getting glory and all that sweet loot. Anyway, we're going to take this guy with us, Ilrin Vonius, because I'm like 90% sure that I sent him away in my first run. I mean, we really don't need him, but the fact that he's there to distract the scamps and take a couple of hits for us, potentially. But there's another reason why we brought him along. He's not here just to be a meat shield against the stunted scamps. And gotta say, too, I love the slightly extended reach of our claymore. Definitely the biggest advantage we have going in here. Would have loved that for Vilverin, but hey, at least we have it now, right? So as we take out this stunted scamp LARPing as a sniper, we're gonna go bring our buddy to the side here and get what we really brought him here for. He's got some sweet-looking light armor, so we just take it, and apparently the forces that observed us that are unseen followed us into Oblivion to make sure that I should say that they knew that we took someone's life. Well, that'll be interesting. I'm sure that won't come into play later on in the run. Outside of the tower wasn't really tough, but inside, so far it's looking, I'm not going to say easy, because, I mean, we are going through here wearing our prisoner garb, a fact I kind of really enjoy. But this place is also littered with not only stunted scamps, but Dremora churls. And we don't gotta worry about them right now, because we got this stunted scamp isolated 1v1, not dealing too much damage, but doesn't matter too much, because as long as we take him down, we're good to go. And of course, just as we take him out, a Dremora churl does appear, and we gotta do another fight. Fine by me, because the end of this fight is super awesome, because we end up getting Apprentice with the Blade. Yeah, that skill's been leveling up real fast. I'm definitely getting +5 to our strength when we level up. I plan on leveling up at least once this run, but since we were level 2 last run, I might go to level 3 or 4. Again, it changed things up a little bit. The most dangerous enemy in here just may be the Dremora churl mages. They can summon proper scamps, and they can deal a lot of damage to us real fast, so it's imperative that we take them out as soon as possible. He goes down, the stunted scamp goes down, we do more of the waiting game, and we are now at the main chamber of the Oblivion Gate. And I bring up the Dremora churl mages because there is one here in the main chamber. Got to avoid his summoned scamp at all costs. Definitely gotta go with our claymore for this one. Absolutely, we do not want our fatigue dropping super low. And this part here is pretty funny because apparently this mage just kinda stands there with his mace scowling at us threateningly, ready to attack. When he decides to act upon that impulse, it's too little, too late. All we gotta do now is take out the last churl, and that sigil stone is ours. Now, we're not going to help Salvi and Matthias reclaim Kvatch because, what are we, a hero or something? No, we're just there to grab Martin and bring him back to Wayne Priory. Not a whole lot to say about this place because Martin is invulnerable for this part of the story, and once we get into the chapel, Joffrey is also invulnerable at this part of the story, so best just let them clean house. Once we're done here, we are going to take Martin up to Cloud Ruler Temple, where we can start the quest to fight back against Mankar Cameron. But before we do that, after we do that, we ensure that Martin and Joffrey get up there nice and safe. Well, our bandit protagonist has his eye on Wayne Priory. It's perfect, nice little farmland, so I do like how the shepherd just kind of sat there and took it. Bro accepted his fate. And luckily for us, we did this on the way to the Imperial City, where Joffrey tasked us with making contact with Boris. Now, Boris says that there's some guy following him, but we're gonna solve this the bandit way and just start attacking the dude. What was really funny is that this innkeeper calls for the guards, and then I think he was about to pull out his weapon and wanted to help us out. We show Boris the book, we go ahead and buy some more materials for Restore Fatigue, again, keeping our shopping trips to a bare minimum here. And once we're done here, we make our way outside and we talk to a guard. I started laughing because we murdered a dude in cold blood and it only cost us 40 gold pieces. I mean, only Boris and I knew that that guy was with the Mythic Dawn, so I just... Oh man, I was expecting to spend some time in jail. Again. Lenient justice system they have here in Cyrodiil. After some super heroic rat killing in the sewers and mud crabs, can't forget about the mud crabs, Boris wants to be the one to meet with the sponsor, and our bandit's like, oh, okay, go right ahead, buddy. And this was awesome, because we got a great sneak attack on Raven Cameron. Raven killed Boris for us as we took out Raven. We can also get Boris' sword here. We were going to kill him for it anyway, so all we got to do now is run back the way we came. And by the way we came, I mean we go to Lake Arrius Caverns and immediately blow our cover. Because, I mean, we're not a rogue. We're not a stealthy rogue, man. If we're a strength-centered bandit, we're just kicking in the door and killing everyone inside of here. Now, as we prepare to attack this guy, which will summon a small little cadre of Mythic Dawn goons, you're going to notice that we actually have light armor, courtesy of that wonderful guard who donated his gear to us back in the Oblivion Gate. I actually want to hit level 2 here. Being the stickler I am for carrying capacity and how much we've leveled up Blade since the start of the run, we are for sure getting +5 to strength, and I really want to cash in on that. But as you can see here, even with light armor, these guys are hitting us pretty hard, and I do like the fact that our light armor is pretty much skyrocketing in terms of skill ups. But again, we want to kind of pump the brakes on it, because too much of it will cause us to level up too fast. Definitely enjoying the challenge these guys are presenting to us, but thanks to our fallen friend, Boris, and the katana that we got from him, it seems to be a little bit stronger than your average Akavara katana, which I really like. We can head on deeper into the caves and find a bedroll and go to sleep right in the middle of enemy territory. You just gotta love it, man. And remember how I said that forces unseen had observed us? Well, apparently, check this out as we level up, we're taking strength, speed, and endurance, by the way. Absolutely wonderful level up that was. Anyway, as we get interrupted from our sleep, turns out Lucien Xarxes can just come on in here. It's a good thing that we left the door open for him, right? Like, what if we went the diplomatic route and Harrow locked the door behind us? Well, our bandit's not really interested in joining the Dark Brotherhood, but he does like those robes that Lucien Xarxes is wearing, so after reloading 2 times because I failed to sneak attack Lucien Xarxes terribly, we decide to forego all things covert and just attack him head-on, like a real bandit. Now, I remember this being a pretty hard battle. Lucien Xarxes, I don't know his exact level or stats, but judging by the damage we're dealing, he seems to be a lot higher level than we are. Fortunately for us, we have some manner of resources available to us, but we don't want to spend too many of them, because we do still need to kill the Mythic Dawn and get the Mysterium Xarxes from Mankar Cameron, because he's just gonna waltz off with the Amulet of Kings like a boss. I will say this, too, that Lucien Xarxes is giving us a bit of a jumpstart on our light armor skill-ups, and I think we got a level up from Blade as well. But, even better, we strike Lucien Xarxes a couple of more times and actually manage to kill him. That's right, he's not essential. Now, doing this permanently locks us out of the Dark Brotherhood, which, again, I don't really mind it because this run is just a one-off. But we are able to plunder some absolutely awesome gear from this guy. Now, the Black Hand robes are pretty great, but what I really like is the Silver Sword, because I didn't realize this until after the fact, but having a Silver Short Sword actually gives us a non-magical weapon for Sancre Tor, so that's awesome. So let's go take these Black Hand robes for a test drive. Surely the Dark Brotherhood won't want these back. Strong start, too, as we one-shot one of the Mythic Dawn Acolytes. They seem to go down in 3 blade strikes, so one-shotting them with a sneak attack with our novice tier archery, that's pretty on brand. And since Hero was not at the door to greet us because we killed the doorkeeper, here he is, but he's not any tougher than the other Mythic Dawn guards here, at least he doesn't seem to be. My favorite part of this entire exchange was the Mythic Dawn acolyte that charged at us, and then his friend shot him with a lightning bolt by accident, just like we did to Farwell in our Destro magic run, although we did that by accident. After we take out Bruma Cameron, that's Mankar Cameron's daughter, we've got one more goon to pot shot here, and fortunately for us, he just didn't seem to notice the abundance of carnage within eyesight and earshot of him, but I guess he just didn't care. And hey, speaking of not caring, we can grab the Mysterium Xarxes, and yes, we should talk to the prisoner first, but our bandit protagonist doesn't care about the prisoner, although he will care about him here in a sec when we can go ahead and loot his body after Mayward's Dagon teabagged him. What was that, 4 gold? Hey, I'd say it's worth it. Not as worth it as breaking into the house of these 2 Mythic Dawn assassins and taking them out. I actually did break into here earlier and tried to find them, but I guess they were out, so they just came back. That's why the door was unlocked, and what was really funny here is that we snuck right by the other one, Severi, I think is her name. Went to the basement, went outside, came back inside, and, well, we killed her, so going back to Joffrey. Joffrey sends us to Martin, and we are going to Border Watch to grab a Daedric artifact. We're going to do Sheogorath's quest this time. I think this is the most appropriate one. The long story short here is that Sheogorath wants to play a serious practical joke on the village of Border Watch. I say prank being extremely generous. Straight up chaotic evil shenanigans is what this guy wants to do. But anyway, as we talk to the shaman here, we give him exactly 20 gold to spill the beans on the big secret of the 3 signs. I guess he just doesn't value the tradition of his village. And there's no combat for Sheogorath's quest, unless you want to kill people here in Border Watch after the fact, which is a perfectly viable option. But if you want to do it the right way, just break into this little container here, steal the cheese, put the cheese into this boiling pot in the center, then the shaman Rebasa will just spontaneously drop rat poison everywhere. You scoop it up with your hands, perfectly safe to do that, I know. And then we take the poison that is seeping into our hands, because, again, we apparently have no regard for safety protocol here. We then take it to the feeding trough, where the sheep all die, even though not all of the sheep eat from the feeding trough. I guess that was Sheogorath playing with a little bit of extra shenanigans there. And then Sheogorath tells us to go to the center of the village, where he sends a bunch of flaming dogs down. I wasn't aware that was part of a prophecy, man. Border Watch is sick. No wonder Sheogorath wanted to mess with these guys. Maybe he's onto something. Anyway, once we do Sheogorath's little errand for him, he's all happy about it and then threatens to kill us if we don't leave, but not before giving us Wabbajack, his Daedric artifact. Cool. We're gonna go back to Martin, give this to him, and then we can move on with the next part of the quest, which I believe is the Bruma Oblivion Gate. Not too much to say about this place, because you have an invulnerable NPC with you, that's Captain Bird. And not only that, but you got 2 guards with you, so the scamps and the Dremora trolls who are here really don't stand a chance against us, especially going with the wait-and-see strategy. And you'll notice that I have the Bosma racial hotkey. That's so I don't accidentally cast magic, and I don't use it at all this run. It's pretty much pointless for the type of character we're playing as. Anyway, next part of the story. Next up is Sancre Tor. I always loved this dungeon. I remember coming here for the very first time and just being mind-blown by it, and it's taken about 3 hours to explore this place. But we're not going to be doing that this time, because Midlow here is a much older, wiser gamer. And killing Lucien to chance, like I said before, was the mother of all galaxy brain strats. Not at all something I did impulsively for no reason, just to see if we could do it. Because the Silver Short Sword is able to hit ghosts here, so thanks to that, and the ability to shoot skeletons with arrows, definitely something that's viable. Sancre Tor isn't that tough. Normally, I would say we have a lot of ectoplasm to sell, but don't want to level up that mercantile. But anyway, the blades, the undead blades, aren't that difficult. Once we take care of them, they undo the seal, we can grab the armor of Tiber Septim, and next up is good old Miscarcand, another excellent dungeon in my opinion. Martin sends us here because we need to locate a Grant Wilkinstone as part of our ritual to open up a portal to paradise, and unfortunately I did run out of arrows before coming here, so I wasn't able to sneak attack the goblin, but not a big deal. This place is loaded with goblins and undead. They are always fighting each other whenever they're in proximity of one another, something that's pretty cool, and usually ends with the zombies absolutely destroying the goblins, because the zombies are pretty tough, and the goblins, minus maybe the skirmishers, not so much. And just like back in Vilverin, we're gonna be doing this little dance here where we don't block, try to back away before we get hit. We're doing okay with it. And not only that, but once we take out these zombies, we can loot their mort flesh to level up our alchemy a bit more. And there's Vulcan stones in here, just in case we want to sell and maybe buy potions for paradise. Speaking of Goblin Skirmisher, one is guarding the first of many buttons we have to hit to unlock the doors to progress here in Miscarcand. I tell you what, man, that Lucien Lachance kill still coming in clutch here, and the best part about the Silver Short Sword is that we can level up our armor using it. Armor is how I've been leveling up endurance. Not too much else to talk about here, but once we grab the Great Vulcan Stone, that summons the King of Miscarcand, and well, I gotta say, I was not expecting this. I know that his staff is always random, but this one, oh boy! Well, he, nearly one-shots us with that shock staff of his, so, if we die, I'm taking the stone and I'm running, and we're dead. Okay, so we're gonna try again, and this really confused me, so, again, I know that the King of Miscarcand's staff is always randomly enchanted, but I didn't know that it changed per load. Like you saw on screen there, I didn't do anything to the file or anything, I just reloaded the save after we died. Well, that was neat. And hey, speaking of neat, as the Countess of Bruma and Martin are talking about plans, apparently Bird said some sort of grievous insult to one of the Bruma guards, because the Bruma guards just keep attacking him. Like, I don't know what caused this, I can't confirm this because I wasn't paying too much attention while I was going through the Bruma Oblivion Gate, but what seems to have happened here was that Bird probably accidentally hit one of the guards while we were going through the Oblivion Gate. I mean, I did lose one of them throughout the attempt there. I just love it, man. We're preparing for war with the Daedra and the Great Oblivion Gate. We're trying to bait them into summoning it, and it's like a barroom brawl here in the most sacred of places. Well, I don't think Captain Bird can get any more blessings from the shrine here at the center of the cathedral. Oh, and if you thought that was all of the shenanigans at display here, get ready for something even more hilarious. With Joffrey at our side, we are ready for war. We're gonna take it to the Daedra, but as we get outside, the guards, because Joffrey attacked Bird, the Bruma guards attack Joffrey. They kill him. Oh, these guys are great, man. They're on our payroll. We're gonna take that Akavari Daikatana. I was gonna kill Joffrey for it anyway. That means Wayne Priory is all ours. We know where our protagonist is going to retire after his grand adventure. And speaking of Grand Adventure, it's Great Gate time. Yeah, we didn't do any of the Oblivion Gates, nor did we do any of the optional quests to get Bruma help, because, again, our bandit doesn't care. What we did do is we made a little pit stop to Bravo before we came here, and paid a little visit to the Skooma Den, because the guards there are having a real problem with that delicious drink on the streets. So I decided to be a hero for a change and take care of the problem by kicking down the door, sneak attacking all of them, and getting upwards of 43 skooma, because, I mean, that's poisonous, and it's got to stay off the streets, so if we hold on to it, we're going to use it responsibly. And before you think I'm being silly, we are using it responsibly because Skooma's speed boost is helping us get through this great gate, and before you know it, unlocking another door, we get the Great Sigil Stone for Martin, and then we bigot a bounce on out of here. Yeah, there's absolutely no way we're fighting these guys. I don't know what those guys in Bravo are talking about, man. Skooma is the drink of heroes. Now, as we enter Paradise, we have hit level 3 at this point. And, well, I kind of miss the stunted scamps because now we're fighting proper ones, just like the summoned ones from the Kvatch Gate, and boy do they deal a lot of damage to us. The Black Hand robes are really awesome, but they provide absolutely nothing in the way of armor. But the proper scamps are not the only enemies we have to worry about. I'm looking around because I'm like, wait, what's detected us? And then we spin around and then we see this little dinosaur guy coming at us. Now, the proper scamps are pretty tough anyway for our character, but the little dinosaurs are even tougher. They seem to have a little racial that lets them deflect a little bit of damage onto us, and couple that with how hard they hit, yeah, that's, this place ain't messing around. If there's one thing that our bandit bro learned throughout the course of his journey, it's that you must take things real nice and slow. As long as we do that and try to keep the enemies isolated, it's not too bad, although I did have to fight 2 dinosaurs, not at the same time, but back to back. Wasn't really a problem, though, so we're gonna skip straight on ahead, cut through a bit of Paradise when we encounter the Dremora, Kothutet, I believe is his name. And as he approaches us, our bandit's like, now that's one fine sword you're carrying. Just a reminder, almost 25 minutes into the challenge, that magical weapons and gear, like our robes and our swords we sometimes use, are allowed. We don't want to go too ham with them, though, because we are very, very limited in terms of our soul gems. Yeah, I've been really, really stubborn about buying stuff from shops. The interior's not much to worry about, especially because we have Eldamel helping us out here. To make the fight against Mankar a little bit easier, we're going to go ahead and cut down his son and daughter. Well, there goes both of them, so yeah, point proven. I'm pretty sure if you wait and let these guys come back, you can just keep farming their gear, which is kind of awesome, but we're not going to do that. We're going to kick down the door and go fight Mankar right now. Real polite of him to greet us as we're charging at him with a magical sword. If you're curious, I used our 2 sigil stones, one on Boris's katana and the other on Joffrey's. They really broed out for us, didn't they? And I have to say, I was really stunned by this fight because Mankar's already dead. He was very not aggressive here. I was expecting this to take about a dozen tries because of how hard he can hit, but hey, not gonna complain about that. Jalbert being tougher than Mankar Cameron, well, that's a first. Alright, let's go and take Martin to the Imperial City, and as he's being greeted by Chancellor Okedo here, well, the Jamora are pretty upset about what we pulled, the little stunt Martin and I have been broing out together, the little scheme we've been brewing, all for this grand moment right here. And basically, all we gotta do is escort Martin to the Temple of One. Now, if you thought that our skooma was just a one-off, well, you'd be silly for thinking that, because we have plenty of that stuff left, man. We're going to consider that a donation from the good people of Bravel, specifically in that particular house whom no longer need the stuff, because they're not alive anymore. We do join in the fun and take out a couple of Jamor, if for no other reason to expend the magic out of Boris's katana and the RIP Joffrey weapon. I really love what I named our stuff this run. Martin sort of just kind of hangs back. We gotta go back and get him to come forward to the Temple of One. I think he kind of forgot where it was, although to be fair, it's probably the first time he's been to the Imperial City. Although he does know where the Temple of One is, so maybe not. Now, we do have to be very careful here, because Martin, who was essential earlier in the game, he's not anymore, so if he dies here, it's game over, and we gotta try again. But fortunately for us, the Dramora, these guys are supposed to be some of Mehrunes Dagon's greatest champions, are a lot more interested in killing city guards and attacking Chancellor Okedo and civilians, rather than going for the one guy they sacked Kvatch and burned to the ground for earlier on in the story. But hey, they're the experts here, not me. I'm just a simple bandit doing what we do best. That's, running away from fights we can't win and plundering loot from people when we have the opportunity to do so. A quick little shout out to Boris, Joffrey, the Priory Bros, Lucien LeChance. You gotta love those guys, man. And as Martin gets ready to make the ultimate sacrifice, well, we're in good hands, because as Martin fights Mehrunes Dagon as the avatar of Akatosh, only one thing's going through our protagonist's mind. Wayne Priory is all mine, oh yeah. Seriously, every companion we've gotten has died throughout the course of this run, and that just made this run feel a little bit more special, a little more appropriate, if you will. Oh man, it was so awesome doing another Oblivion challenge, and I got some great news for you, those of you who enjoy the Oblivion content. Our next Elder Scrolls Oblivion challenge is going to be with fists only. Got a lot of practice out of that from our Let's Play. Not only that, but I'm aiming to make that the next challenge video on the channel. I want to catch up on that a bit, you know? Because I love Oblivion. I mean, I don't claim to be great at this game, I just kind of made this for fun. Also true in Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. More fun over skill, which my skill is mediocre at best. Anyway, on screen now are some challenges you can look forward to, in addition to the fists-only run. I should have that up next week, and looking very forward to making progress on that one. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you, my dear citizen, at the next Elder Scrolls Oblivion video. And take it easy, guys.